I will say the Yankees are coming in with a little bit of motivation, especially with how the last weekend series happened. Yeah. And it's nice that the rotation kind of lines up now where they actually are going to get Fried and Rodon following each other. There's no gap in between the two of them.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, technically, this might be considered a Saturday episode.
Yeah, Fan Mail Saturday. I don't know if that works, but...
Send it in Saturday. You send in the questions, we answer your questions. That's how we'll do it. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like the video, and hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. We also have a TikTok if you'd like to follow us there, LockedOn_Yankees. So coming up on today's show, the rivalry is back. We're going to preview Saturday and Sunday's game. Sunday's game is not an ESPN game. Thank you to whoever runs the universe.
Shocker.
And I know it's kind of weird, isn't it? And we're doing Fan Mail Friday on a Saturday. So again, we'll call it Send It In Saturday. I apologize. I was having computer issues. We couldn't record the show when we normally record it. So that's what happened. What are you going to do? Right.
Happens.
All right. So as we record this, the Yankees and Red Sox are about to get underway at Fenway. It's Friday night as we do this. The pitching matchups for Saturday, another Fox game. So many Fox games in a row. It's too much for me.
Yeah.
Carlos Rodon, 8-4 with a 2.87 ERA against Hunter Dobbins, who is 3-1 with a 4.20 ERA. I believe Hunter Dobbins is the guy who said he'd retire before he ever signed with the Yankees.
Mm-hmm. I would love the Yankees to spite offer him $200 million one day, but I doubt that'll happen. Hunter Dobbins isn't quite good enough to get one of those contracts.
Right, not yet, yeah. So that's a 7:15 start because it's on Fox. Sunday is a 1:35 start on Yes. Max Fried, 9-1 with a 1.84 ERA against Brian Bayo, 2-1 with a 3.96 ERA.
Red Sox, I think, have underperformed this year compared to what people thought they were, particularly their pitching staff. I think people thought they were going to be a lot better than they actually have been, despite Garrett Crochet being unbelievable as expected. So right. We'll see how this one looks. I will say the Yankees are coming in with a little bit of motivation, especially with how the last weekend series happened. Yeah. And it's nice that the rotation kind of lines up now where they actually are going to get Fried and Rodon following each other. There's no gap in between the two of them. Yes. So we'll see. They definitely have the pitchers they want out there for this series. That's for sure.
That is definitely true. Now, Aaron Boone said on Friday that it's still possible that Stanton could be there for Boston. It's just not happening Friday night. It might not be Saturday. So I don't know why it would be at any point. But speaking of Stanton, let's just put this up really quickly. This is what he wore the other night with Somerset when they had their Margaritaville night, I guess. But the funny thing about that is, you see how there are two R's there? Because one is on the one side of the uniform and the other.
That is funny.
It's not quite a Nationals situation, but pretty close. So, yeah. But we'll see Stanton soon. He's coming soon. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the team. All right. So Send It In Saturday instead of Fan Mail Friday. So if you're watching the show for the first time, we do Fan Mail Friday every week. We have our listeners/viewers send us questions. We have an Insiders Club. They get top priority on Fan Mail Friday. And we start every Fan Mail Friday with our tried and true first insider, Betty, who says she had asked another question. So this is why this says this. If you feel my Fan Mail Friday question was already addressed in Thursday's show, here's an alternate question. The Martian does not hit as well from the right side. So why do you think they put him in repeatedly against the best lefty pitchers?
Because he has more power from the right side. They say that left side is more of his contact side, but the right side is more of his power side. That's at least what the metrics show and what everything shows. So that's why they tend to let him hit a lot more against righties. I do think, too, because his hitting has struggled to start his career from the right side, they tend to want to get him more at bats on the right side so he gets a little more comfortable. Because when he's fully developed in the full version of Jason Dominguez, they want him to be able to be a full-time switch hitter because it allows him to play every single day. So I think that there's a little bit in that too. Because he's so young, Stacey, he's almost developing on the fly.
Yeah.
Like while he's in the major leagues, which is crazy, but he's got that much talent where he could develop while playing. Doesn't need the minor leagues. That's how talented this kid is.
Yeah.
David F asks, if you could ask any current player one question about their approach to the game, who would it be and what would you ask? Had cell phone issues? Sorry if you already have this.
It's true. He did ask it twice because he was having issues with his cell phone. We're all very friendly on the Insiders Club. So it's like we're friends. Out of maybe, I don't know. Cause I mean, maybe Wells or Volpe, like sometimes when they get into their slumps sometimes and they're swinging at like really awful offerings, or they tend to forget how to perform with runners in scoring position, because sometimes they do really well with runners in scoring position, and then other times it seems like they've never been up at the plate with runners in scoring position with the way they're swinging at certain pitches. Like I feel like maybe out of everyone, I guess those two, because I'm trying to think of, or maybe Jazz too, because Jazz has that problem sometimes too, where you see him swinging out of his shoes at certain pitches, and you're just like,
I got a different one. I'd ask Luke Weaver, because he always seems to be the most cool and calm, collected guy out there, and yet he's a closer, which is one of the most anxiety-ridden positions that exist.
Yeah.
So I actually I think it's amazing how good he pitches for the high pressure role that he has on the team. So I'd love to see his approach.
You want to see him.
I want to know what his approach is to the game, because it's impressive. It really is.
Yeah. Like, how do you not? Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, Mo is pretty cool, calm, and collected too. So
he was, but I feel like you saw it on Mo's face a little more. Like he was able to pitch in big moments, but I do think you saw the anxiety on his face a little bit. Luke Weaver doesn't seem like anything makes him nervous. Right. He just goes out there and pitches. So and even with the interviews and stuff like that, he's always very relaxed, very jokey, he's always a very relaxed guy. And usually closers are a lot more tightly wound up than him.
That's true. Yeah, because if you've seen in history, some closers were actually kind of wacky, like bratty. Especially back in the day. Like even up to recently, Jonathan Papelbon, Craig Kimbrell.
Yeah. Well, bratty guys.
Yeah. And Kimbrell with that. Poor Kimbrell. He comes into that one game, he gets the 3 outs, and then he gets cut. Like, thank you. Okay, bye.
His praying mantis pitching style I didn't ever like that.
I will say it was very funny when he was with the Red Sox and they were playing the Dodgers, and Mary Hart was making fun of Craig Kimbrell because she's right in the front row. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's forever burned in my brain. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? That would be me. I would do the same thing if I sat in the front row of Yankee Stadium. If I was sitting in Lorne Michaels' seats where Jimmy Fallon usually sits there, and Emma Stone was there when they were playing the Padres, I would do the same thing. I can admit that. Next question is from Shalid. I think the introduction of the ABS system is a great thing that has been a long time coming. It should drastically improve the game. Do you think umpires realize when they get calls wrong? Are they just too arrogant not to even apologize? Maybe a lot of them do, and we just don't see or hear about it. How would you feel about some kind of checks and balances system for umpires who get numerous calls wrong?
I love the idea of it. I don't know if it'll ever get approved. I love the idea of a checks and balances system for them, especially the umpires who, listen, I get that calls are made wrong all the time. That happens. But the umpires who are consistently wrong a large percentage of the time and there's a union protecting them, I love unionized jobs. There's got to be some sort of balance system that deters you from having terrible job performance. And the umpire's job performance is bad. Listen, there's unionized jobs all over the country, but if you don't perform in those jobs, you can still get let go. The union can't defend you if you don't perform at your job. And there are plenty of umpires who are genuinely terrible at their job. And on top of it, what makes it worse is the arrogance a lot of them have. They carry themselves with an arrogance that you don't even get the right to argue. You don't get the right to give it a secondhand opinion. And they're very, very, very wrong on some of these calls. So yeah, I would love that system. Will it ever get approved? I doubt it. Will there ever be a system like that? Probably no, but I would definitely support one.
Okay, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. And if you would like to be part of next week's Fan Mail Friday, you can go to our YouTube channel's page, click on posts, and leave your question underneath the Fan Mail Friday post. You can ask us anything, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club where you get top priority and your questions are answered first. The link is in the description. It isn't only for Fan Mail Friday. You get text from us with everything from lineups to roster updates, trades, and signings. And you can text us questions and comments. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up next, more Fan Mail Friday. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual. It's a lifeline. It's the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if it's that essential, why would you settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-over purist, they have a roast that you will love. I took their quiz. It only took a minute, and the first bag they sent me was spot on. I drink it all the time. The coffee is fresh. It smells amazing. And honestly, it's ruined grocery store coffee for me in the absolute best way. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. Our next question, another insider question, comes from Michael C. Hi, love the show. So at the trade deadline, what do you think the Yankees should do? Do we do what Jeff Passan suggested and acquire Brandon Lowe, or should we focus more on pitching, like another bona fide starter, or try to acquire another good reliever?
I think it's reliever. For some reason, everybody's obsessed with starting pitching. I don't think there's a need for a starting pitcher, to be honest with you. But I think we're Pavlov's dogs so tricked to thinking that every deadline they need a pitcher. They don't need a starter. I honestly don't think they do. They only go with 4 in the postseason anyway. And I think they have 4 really solid arms for postseason games. I think a mid-relief reliever that can give you some length is the move to go with. I don't think they're getting Brandon Lowe, and I think Brandon Lowe would fit this team wonderfully. They've been playing DJ LeMahieu consistently. He has somewhat hit since Stacey called him out. And Brandon Lowe being on a division rival would cost the Yankees an absolute fortune. The Rays are not giving him up for something cheap. So with the cost and the fact that they have a player that's somewhat hitting there, I don't think there's a chance they do that. So I think mid-relief reliever that can give you some length, I think that's who they go after. Our next questions, we're going to dupe them together because they're very similar. We're going to go with Matt V and Philip Razak Jr. First, Matt V asks, what is Stroman's role going to look like when he returns? Does he take his rotation spot back with Yarbrough going to the bullpen? And Philip says, hello, Stacey and Brian. Do either of you think the platoon of Yarbs and Stroh could actually work? Yarbs had his first bad start against Boston, and having Stroh in the pen might have been able to save some more traditional bullpen arms for later in the game. Having them both available to start the same day also means that you could have one with better numbers start and have the other come in immediately if needed. Or finish out the game and save everyone else in the pen. I knew I liked you, Brian, when your distaste for the manager's decision was as passionate as my own. And to you, Stacey, I have been listening for quite a while and love your work. Let's go Yankees. And we don't do the wave. If you know, you know. Agree with him completely. I don't understand anyone who does the wave. It's one of the dumbest childish things that people do.
It's not 1985 anymore. That's when it was like
the worst
really
part of human.
Yeah.
People 2 weeks ago started doing it at the Metallica concert, and I wanted to blow my brains out because at a Metallica concert doing the wave is so awful. Stacey, I think there is, and this is not meant to be disrespectful, I think there is less than a 0% chance they platoon Yarbrough and Stroman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it works in today's game. And I do think these guys are such creatures of habit. You can't work a method where one guy comes in for another guy to follow and then have you start one week and then not start the next week. You can't do that to guys. I don't think that works.
I got 2 things for you. J-Happ and Davy Garcia. Didn't work in a playoff game.
And which was one of the dumbest calls ever, but it doesn't work. I don't think I'm going to be honest with you, and I've been trying to think about this, and I still don't have an answer. I don't know what the role is for Marcus Stroman. I don't. it feels like he's been wildly pipped almost off this roster because there isn't a place for him to play. And I think Yarborough's been good enough for him not to go back to the bullpen. Honestly, he's been that good. And it's the one bad start against Boston. We'll see how he does on Friday night. We're recording this while the game's on, so we don't know how he'll do. But Stacey, I don't know if Stroman might have, and that's the unfortunate nature of sports. Stroman might have played his way off the roster.
Right. Or maybe if they feel that Will Warren is tiring at some point, maybe they can have Stroman pitch. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Because we haven't mentioned him in a while, but Luis Gil's going to be coming back too.
Exactly. Well, that's my point to the playoff question earlier of if they go out and get a starter. I don't think they need one because when the playoffs roll around, you have a healthy Luis Gil. They still trust Clark Schmidt clearly, or if Will Warren's pitching as good as he's been pitching, right? Either of those guys could be a playoff starter. Plus, you combine that with Fried and Rodon the way they have been. If you have Gil, Fried, and Rodon, that's good enough for the DS. You don't need a fourth guy till the CS starts. And then they'll easily go with a Will Warren, Clark Schmidt, Ryan Yarbrough. They can figure out that fourth starter very easily and just have a short leash on him. So I don't think that leads to like the second thing that we were saying. Though. I don't think it's necessary to go out there and get a starter. There's not one readily available. There's not a great piece out there. And why give up a lot of prospects for a position that you really don't need?
Right. Okay, this next one. I have a message for Andrew F. Neither one of us really pay attention to the College World Series, so we can't really answer that question. But I will say I pull for the Florida Gators because my brother is class of 2001. He didn't play for the Gators, but I tend to pull for those teams because he went to that school. So
if John Jay had a baseball team that was in Division I or Connecticut School of Broadcasting, I'd be rooting for them.
Right. If Oswego did they have a baseball team? I don't remember. They were good at hockey when I was up there. They were good at hockey. And I went to a couple games, but other than that, no. Okay, so the next question is our last insider question from Eric S. Which Yankee traded away in the last 5 years do you regret?
I don't know if I have a necessary regret. I'll give you one that I regret them losing out on. Garrett Whitlock. They had to DFA him because they didn't believe in his stuff anymore, and they lost him, and the Red Sox are the ones who claimed him off waivers, and he's been elite for them since they acquired him. Yeah. So Garrett Whitlock's the one that I really I regret them moving on from. Trade-wise, they haven't really been burned on a piece that they've lost out on, that they've moved away. You got to give them credit. People give Cashman all the hate in the world for the guys that he acquired that weren't necessarily great, the Joey Gallos of the world and the Sonny Grays of the world and stuff. They really haven't lost none of those prospects have become major talents in the league. I mean, Jorge Mateo became a nice player on the league, but there's no one that they really traded away. Remember when Justice Sheffield was the most untouchable pitcher and he became a nothing? Like, I can't, is there a player that I'm missing, Stacey, that became like a consistent, everyday, great player?
Not that I can think of in the last 5 years. I will say, I'm not sure I regret this. Well, I kind of regret
Sears.
Did you see what happened with him the other night?
No, actually.
He was taken out of the game, like his, the natural course of the game where he pitched enough pitches and he went into the dugout and then he started yelling at the ump and he got thrown out.
What's the point of doing that?
Yeah, he started screaming at the ump from the dugout. It's like, why are you doing that?
I mean, he's been good for them, but I don't know if he's like an elite pitcher that they really, really missed out on. I don't know if there's that player, Stacey.
Yeah, no, I really wish Gary Sanchez was better.
Yeah.
That trade hurt my heart because I really was expecting Gary Sanchez and Aaron Judge to be like the dynamic duo when they first came up. Like I really wanted that to happen and it didn't. So not necessarily a regret, but it's just a bummer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Coming up, more Fan Mail Friday questions from our YouTube viewers.
The NBA playoffs are in full swing and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances. There's major momentum shifts and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-tying shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in on the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. You can still get live MVP awards for the NBA Finals, and you can still bet the Oklahoma City Thunder down in the series. We'll see how that series works out, but you can take advantage of it all at FanDuel. Are you new to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up. You can head over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. Now, if that bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
We continue with our YouTube questions. This one is from Ambitious Monk. We're about a month away from the draft. I was just listening to Miners Monday, and it got me thinking about how MLB and each organization, for that matter, ranks their prospects. More to the point, the prospects move up and down the rankings every so often. So what is the basis of that initial ranking and how they move up and down? Is it based on empirical data or simply feel?
It's actually a mix of both. They do use empirical data, like advanced statistics and stuff based on how they're playing, but they also have to kind of like, I guess, measure that against what level of the minors they're playing, the current player is playing at, along with his age. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But there are a group of scouts that get together every week and actually reevaluate the prospect rankings and how they go up and down. So I know that's how it works within the organization. It's not really something that happens at the major league level. It's more of stuff that happens beneath the Yankees squad and more with the squads below.
Interesting, because I didn't really know about that, so I'm glad you know.
Yeah, no, it's actually pretty fascinating. There's a lot that goes into the minor league world of the Yankees there's nothing to do with the major league club. It's really fascinating how all that works. Extra Salty Now says, hi, Stacey and Brian. I was looking over the Yankees' upcoming schedule and noticed that they have a total of 4 series with Boston this year, 3 remaining. To me, the scheduling appears to intentionally favor Boston. The Yankees have no days off before any of those series, and 3 of those are both travel and game days. Meanwhile, Boston has all 4 days off each series against the Yankees. Do you think it's just a coincidence or that it could be a case of scheduling manipulation? I feel like this only adds more stress to an already stretched pitching staff, and it bothers me that our number 1 rival may have been given an unfair advantage. What do you think? Thanks for responding to my last question about the Yanks' ABS nosedive.
ASB, All-Star break.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking ABS too much.
Right. Yes, because we're talking about it so much. I don't think a schedule manipulation. It just worked out that way. I mean, it does stink when you think about it because you're like, yeah, why do they keep having to play or travel and play before they start these series? And like, I don't understand the days off during a homestand. I get it because it's the other team coming in, but I don't understand how then the Yankees get penalized later in that week or the next week because of that day off during the homestand. They have to travel and play on the same day.
Makes very little sense. The scheduling sometimes is very confusing. I think it has a lot to do with logistics, though, of teams traveling in, getting hotels. You got to remember it's not as much of a problem in New York, but some of the cities, like when they go to Kansas City and stuff, they have to stay at a 5-star resort. That's how. No, it's actually in the CBA, believe it or not.
Oh yeah,
that baseball teams have to stay in a 5-star hotel. So some of the cities where there's not a lot of 5-star hotels in Kansas City, Missouri. So they have to be able to find those hotels, have the availability. Some of them have to have it split because they use the conference rooms too for team meetings and stuff. They have to have that hotel not have a team in it that's playing the Royals the next road trip. So it is very complicated back and forth. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not as simple as, I don't think it's schedule manipulation. I think it's just there's a lot that goes into it, and it's difficult to get it right.
Yeah. The Yankees are, they usually they usually stay at the Ritz-Carlton in Boston.
Yeah. Because you stay there too normally, right?
Is that
why you know that?
No, that is way too expensive for me. I look for cheap deals when I go away anywhere, please. Brian, back to Monday's episode about bringing back old-time nicknames. I propose Carlos the Deputy Rodon and Anthony Chicken Cutlet Volpe. As of Tuesday, DJ LeMahieu has played in 20 games with a .258 average. Do you think he can sustain that for the rest of the season? Or is this a final blip on the radar and he finishes the season with a sub .220 average?
If he finishes .258, I'll sign for that right now in blood. I mean, .258, I would take that in a heartbeat. He could play in the postseason with that average. I would take it in a heartbeat. I don't love Anthony Chicken Cutlet Volpe because it reminds me of the Tommy DeVito stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but Carlos the Deputy Rodon fits Rodon very well.
Yeah.
That or like, I don't know, give me some cheap Midwestern beer that Carlos Rodon. I feel like he drinks in the offseason.
Oh, when he's hunting, he probably has like a cooler of beer when he's.
But it's definitely like a cheaper Midwestern kind of beer, and like in one of those old school coolers. He lets the gut get going a little bit. I could just picture him on the porch, rocking chair, lets the beard go. God, I love Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, I don't know any Midwest beers. I know upstate and Canadian beers because that's what I drank in Oswego. Like I didn't know what a Labatt's Blue was until I went to Oswego. And
I'm more of a Molson kind of girl, but I feel you. Let's go to Rivka Meiselman, 3375. Rivka asks, can you please explain how the draft affects the trade deadline? I hear it mentioned, but I don't have a clear understanding. Thank you. It doesn't. Baseball is the one sport where the draft doesn't affect the trade deadline because they can't trade draft picks in baseball. It's not allowed.
Right. And also, I was thinking about this earlier with baseball. I don't really pay attention to the draft that much because 95% of the time, or even 99% of you're not going to see these guys for like years, where other sports, you're going to see these guys almost immediately when they're drafted, right? Where with baseball guys, you might not see guys for 5 years. And it's like,
it's every other sport. The only sport where you don't see a guy immediately is football when it's a quarterback. They don't play. If it's a late round pick, they sometimes don't play because they want to get more reps. Hockey, if it's a first round pick, almost immediately they play. Basketball, they always play if they're the first round pick. So, but it doesn't. But Rivka, baseball is the only pro sport of the four majors where you actually can't trade a draft pick. So there are no movement of draft picks available. Also, you can't trade a player within his first 3 months on it after being drafted by a team. So a new prospect that's been drafted for 90 days, he cannot be moved. He can't be placed on waivers. He can't be traded. He can't have any of that stuff go on. So the draft really is not affected at all by the trade deadline. Good question, though.
Okay, next question from Casey Cotreau, 7050. Which Yankees would you pick besides Judge to go to the AllStar game this year, either as a starter or a bench player?
Casey always asks good questions, and I want to say Max Fried, Luke Weaver, Carlos Rodon, and I don't know if there's another. Honestly, maybe Ben Rice. The average isn't there, but the power. I mean, who in their right mind had Ben Rice having 12 home runs right now? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that you can think of? I mean, maybe Goldschmidt.
I was thinking maybe Goldschmidt, but yeah, no, those were the people I was thinking of.
You wouldn't put Ben Rice in though?
No.
Yankees want Trent Grisham, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He won't get in, but he's had a great year for them too. I mean, maybe he's a Yankee All-Star for sure.
Yeah.
Last question of Fan Mail Friday comes from Mark Carpentieri. He asks, I saw in a different video say that the Yankees were trading for Luis Robert. How true can that be?
I actually saw that headline too. I can't remember what video it was. And then I never saw really anything.
There's going to be a lot of teams in on him, apparently. It's not just the Yankees. And there's not necessarily a big need for them to go acquire him.
Right.
But and I want to say that if there's a lot of teams bidding on him, I don't think the Yankees are going to be willing to give up a lot for him.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that there's a team dumb enough to make a dumb trade for him. It is the White Sox. So we'll see. I don't think the Yankees would do it. And I don't think there's a lot that could be, I don't think there's a lot of credence to that happening, but we'll see. It wouldn't be the craziest move. It wouldn't.
Right. We're almost at the point where we can discuss the trade deadline because we're about a month out from when it gets really serious, right?
Yeah.
So
about a month out, I'd say.
Yeah. Which isn't that wild?
Crazy
to think about that?
So fast.
We're already in mid-June. It's when this episode goes up. It's late on Friday the 13th, but most of you will be watching it on Flag Day on June 14th.
Yeah, can't wait.
That's amazing. Yeah. You have any Flag Day experience from school? Because I do.
No, well, let me hear yours.
40 years ago, literally 1985, because it was 5th grade. I have the honor of the year that I was born. Every grade corresponds with the year that I was in it. So 5th grade was 84 to 85. 6th grade was 85, 86. So all my grades ended with the right number. So June 14th, 1985, we had to learn the lyrics to You're a Grand Old Flag, my class, and we sang it in front of the school. And do I know all the lyrics still? Yes. 40 years later? Yes. Yes, I do. Thank you, Mrs. Seleni. Thank you for that.
Where is she now?
She is retired in New Mexico. We were Facebook friends. She's awesome.
Wow, awesome. That's so cool.
And not only that, I didn't realize this, but she went to Oswego.
Wow.
She was an education major because Oswego was a teacher's college first. And then when it opened in 1861, it was a teacher's college. And then they still obviously have education there because most of my friends from college are teachers now. And I never knew she went to Oswego. So when I told her I went there, she was so excited. So, yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, amazing, right? All right, well, thank you guys for all of your questions. If we didn't get to your questions, if we missed them, it wasn't really a miss. It was we didn't have enough time, or they were subjects that we already addressed on the show, and it just felt redundant to bring them up again. So keep trying. It's not a personal thing. It's just timing and, honestly, you don't want to
It's definitely not personal, no.
Yeah, it's not a personal thing. So just keep trying, leaving those questions on YouTube. Good job. 9 questions there. And the insiders, as usual, doing a bang-up job. So thank you guys for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long, you get local analysis on a national scale. And you can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys Monday.